Hello and welcome. I'm Kirby Dolak, Video Production Supervisor for LCTV and BXB-TV. Today I'm with the General Manager for the Littleton Electric, Light and Water Department, Nick Lawler, who is going to give us some background on the Water Department as well as update us on the Whitcomb Ave Water Department project and upcoming annual town meeting warrant articles. Nick, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Nick, while you're General Manager of both the Littleton Electric and Light and Water Departments, you're here today to talk about water. First, can you give us an overview of the Littleton Water Department, or LWD? When was it created? How big is it? What services do you provide? Who's served? And what does the future hold for the department?
Sure, thank you. The Littleton Water Department was established by the town in 1912 under the control of elected Board of Water Commissioners. LWD services approximately 3,300 customers, representing over 9,000 people, mainly in the towns of Littleton, with a handful of customers in Westford, Acton, and Boxborough. We maintain 80 miles of water main, 3 well sites, 2 treatment plants, 3 storage tanks, all with a dedicated 10 employees. Besides the overall general operation of our water system, our core mission is to supply clean and reliable water to the ratepayers. We strive to be the stewards of the environment to protect our town resources. Whether it's managing the cell tower lease contracts that provide revenue to the town to acquire conservation land or fund clean lake programs, employing one of the few water department staffed environmental analysts in the state, or managing our extensive groundwater monitoring program, our department is committed to our mission. What does the future hold? Well, who knows? But I can guarantee one thing: we'll never stray from our core mission of supplying clean, reliable water while being sensitive to rates and all at the same time protecting Littleton's most sacred local resources.
Great, great. So obviously, as Littleton has been growing, the need for clean and clear water is increasing. What is LWD doing to plan for and meet this growing need, Nick?
That's right, Kirby. I've been with the department since 2001. We've seen our population increase 25% in that time. This, coupled with the retail and industrial boom that we have seen in Littleton, have led to challenges for our department. There are several projects that LWD employees are leading that will help us meet our future demands. The 3 short-term projects are to increase our permitting pumping capacity at our Beaverbrook wells from 285 gallons per minute to 450 gallons per minute, increasing the pumping capacity at our Whitcomb Ave wells from 425 gallons per minute to 600 gallons per minute, and to develop a new bedrock well source off of Cobb's Lane at approximately 385 gallons per minute. On a long-term scale, we'll also be beginning the process of withdrawing water from Lake Nagog, but this is a much more long-term solution due to the complexities of that project.
Interesting. Now, in looking at this whole project, I've heard terms of Zone 1 and Zone 2 mentioned a lot. Can you describe what these terms mean for Littleton's water supply?
Sure. A map probably does this the best, so it's a map that might help you understand that.
Okay.
But Zone 1 and Zone 2 refer to 2 different parts of the aquifer. Zone 1 is the 400-foot protective radius around a public water supply well, and this is the most sensitive part of the aquifer. We're required by Mass DEP to own this area, which we do for all our wells. Zone 2 refers to a much larger area of an aquifer which contributes water to a well under the most severe pumping and recharge conditions that can be realistically anticipated. Mass DEP requires that all public water supplies prohibit certain land uses that could potentially contaminate the aquifer or inhibit recharge in that area. And LWD works closely with the Littleton Planning Department to ensure that new developments in town won't negatively impact that aquifer. Whether it's impervious services, storage of hazardous materials, on-site waste water disposal, we work closely with the Planning Department bylaws to protect our water supply. Another way to ensure that our Zone 2 is safe is through our commercial water monitoring program that we complete annually to ensure that no contaminants have entered the aquifer from any of the activities occurring at these properties.
Currently, LWD has plans to build a water treatment plant at Whitcomb Ave. Briefly, what are the reasons for the plant? Who will it service? And what will it cost residents per year? What problems you're trying to solve with this new plant? Can you give us an overview of the plant and how it fits into LWD's plans to satisfy future clean water demands?
Yeah, basically the reasons for the plant are twofold. As I mentioned earlier, we're trying to increase the pumping capacity of our original well site to meet its permitted withdrawal limits. The second reason is because this is the only source in Littleton that doesn't get filtered for iron and manganese removal, and it produces almost half of the water in our town. So who does it serve? At some point throughout the year, it's safe to say that if you live in Littleton, you've drank water from Whitcomb Ave. So this project solves two problems. One, meeting our future demand, and two, providing clean water to everyone in Littleton, which has historically been a problem at this site for our residents in town.
Okay. So what 2019 annual town meeting related articles are of interest to residents and to the water department?
Yeah, there are two articles that are of great interest, other than the appropriation of our operating budget, which is Article 6. Article 17 is a planning board article to amend the Aquifer and Water Resource District, which the Board of Water Commissioners and the planning board fully support and recommend a yes vote on Article 17. This article delineates the new Zone 2 as required by the DEP due to that increased permitted withdrawal from the Beaverbrook well site. So since we're pumping more water from these wells, this needs to make Zone 2 bigger. Article 18 is a voter petition that would stop our new Whitcomb Ave treatment plant and jeopardize our ability to meet water demands in the near future. The voter petition is trying to place a conservation restriction on 5 parcels of land that are already currently controlled by the water department, including a parcel of land where the proposed treatment plant is to be constructed. This article is opposed by the Board of Water Commissioners, opposed by the Board of Selectmen, opposed by the Conservation Commission. If this article were to pass the town meeting, then LWD would be forced to build this plant at the existing well site inside of Zone 1. Again, the most important part of the aquifer. And it would cost the department an additional $1 million due to the complexities of building on this parcel of land. Passing this article would also cost the town an additional $445,000 just to change the deed for this property from water department purposes and aquifer protection to conservation. So this would increase the project cost, delay the construction start date, jeopardizing our ability to meet short-term water demands, and be more damaging to the environment and our water supply because it would force us to build in Zone 1. Please vote no on this important article.
Okay. So last May, town meeting approved borrowing $7 million for the Whitcomb Ave project. However, the topic is coming back to town meeting again. Why is that? What's changed from the approved Article 19 plans for the facility and its siting since last May?
So last May at town meeting, the town approved the borrowing authorization for a new treatment plant and well redevelopment for the Whitcomb Ave wells. Nothing has necessarily changed since last May, other than now we have a lot more details with regards to this project.
So speaking of details, Nick, at last town meeting we had in May, LWD received the bond authorization to proceed with the project. But can you tell us from an engineering design perspective, what happens on a project of this size and type? Did anything change as a result of those required engineering steps?
Right. Last May we received authorization to proceed with bonding the project. And then we had to go through the whole process of hiring an engineering firm to design this treatment plant facility, siting of this treatment plant facility, and all the attributes that go along with that.
Okay. So can you walk us through a timeline of what's happened to this project from when it was approved by the residents last May 18th, please?
Yes. So like we stated at May town meeting 2018, the town authorized, without question, in the consent vote, the water department to borrow $7 million to redevelop the Whitcomb Ave wells and build a water treatment plant. Directly following that town meeting vote in May of 2018, we did a request for qualifications to hire an engineering firm to design that plant. After reviewing proposals from a bunch of different firms, in June of 2018, we signed a task order with Time Bond to complete this design work. And design was focused at this time on the existing well site. Then in September 2018, once the design was moving forward, Time Bond recommended to build the plant in the vacant field adjacent to the VFW due to the costs associated with building this plant in the 100-year floodplain and the fact that it's just not good practice to build within Zone 1 when it can be avoided.
Okay.
On September 5th, these findings were discussed with the Board of Water Commissions at a public meeting, and they decided to proceed with Time Bond's plan of building in the field adjacent to the VFW, as long as the DEP approved this idea due to the fact that that land was acquired through a DEP grant back in the 1980s. Following that finding from the commissioners, we instantly asked the DEP for the approval, and in October of 2018, the DEP agreed with our design, and Town Council gave us the approval to move forward with that design. Then in January 2019, Time Bond hit 25% completion, and we sat down at DEP offices to address any concerns with the design, which is typical, and DEP had none. In February 2019, Ty and Bond got to 75% design completion, and that's when we began the whole planning board process, and we held a voluntary abutters meeting and site walkthrough to begin to address any abutter concerns that might come up.
Did anything come up as a result of that first abutters meeting by chance?
Sure. So the first time that we met with the abutters on this project, we started talking about screening and things that we could do to make this look better from the street.
Great.
So then in March 2019, just last month, we went back to the planning board and met with them, and they continued it to the April meeting. And they had some things that they want to sit back down with the butters and address some of their own concerns. In between the planning board meetings, we held another voluntary abutters meeting.
Great.
And again, addressed concerns, more plantings, and we ended up shifting the facility 15 feet further from a residential zone into it towards the industrial zone, towards the VFW.
So you were listening to what they were concerned about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And earlier this month, we received a 5-0 vote from the planning board for site plan approval, and now getting ready to submit our permit to construct from the DEP. We expect to have this application in soon, and a permit to construct following shortly after we hear back from the DEP.
All right. So in essence, Article 18 is a citizen's petition. It's going to have the impact of blocking the water department from building that town-approved treatment plant on Whitcomb Ave. What would be the impact to town residents or businesses if the water department doesn't build on the land behind the VFW?
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer since water consumption is so dependent on weather. But if we experience any dry period, or even worse, a drought similar to the one we had a few years ago, we'll have some major challenges in front of us. The short, drastic answer would be that, one I hope we don't come to, is that if this article passes, then we could see harsh outdoor watering bans for our residents and potentially water curtailments for some of our larger commercial customers. Again, it's the worst case scenario, but it's the type of event that we need to prepare for and one we're trying to resolve.
Interesting, interesting. Again, always planning. That's great. Now, how has LWD worked with local residents to address their concerns? And, you know, I've asked you as we went through the timeline what happened. And it seems as if you watch the last planning board meeting off LCTV On Demand, that the abutters' concerns had been addressed with the modifications that you have proposed. Are there other details about the project that LWD wants to clarify or correct?
Sure, yeah, that's right. We work closely with the planning board, Board of Selectmen, Conservation Commission, and the butters to try to make this project as appealing as possible. Again, we held 2 voluntary butter meetings to address concerns. Resulted in the planting of about 30 trees. The building was shifted towards the industrial zone on Taylor Street. But the most important aspect of this is the work that's being done in Zone 1. And thanks to the Board of Selectmen, we were given about 3 acres of land inside of Zone 1, covered with pavement in the old highway garage, which is filled with lead and asbestos. We've committed to the town and the neighborhood, and the DEP for that matter, that will reinvest in restoring Zone 1 to its natural state, which includes the demolition of that old highway garage.
That's interesting. So the Light and Water Department is also proposing another article, or I should say the Planning Board, which is amendment to the town zoning bylaws, aquifer and water district regulation. What's the intent of that article? What's really proposed there?
Yep. I think I have another map on that one.
Okay.
So that is that map that shows the areas impacted.
Okay.
And again, I want to know this is a critical article that we recommend the voters to vote yes on. This is something that's being required of us by the DEP as a condition to increase the withdrawal permit at our Beaverbrook wells. This increase is necessary for us to meet our near future demands and to help continue to support economic development in Littleton, especially in the common area.
Okay. So we know that as part of the voting process that there's a booklet that goes out that talks about the articles and some different positions that are there. We also know that the voters look to the various boards like the Selectmen, the Planning Board, the Conservation Commission for the recommendations on how they should vote or could vote. Which boards or commissions support either Article 17 or 18?
Sure. Article 17, the zoning amendment for aquifer protection, is endorsed by both the Planning Board and the Water Commission. It's not publicly opposed by any board in town.
Okay.
Article 18, the voter petition to stop the Whitcomb Ave treatment plant, is not publicly supported by any town board.
Okay.
And it's opposed by the Water Commission, the Board of Selectmen, Conservation Commission, and would halt the project supported by the Planning Board.
Okay. So does LWD plan on making presentations at the annual town meeting on either of these warrant articles?
Absolutely. We'll be presenting on both Article 17 and Article 18. And we look forward to informing the town voters that night so that when they raise their hands, they fully understand the implications to their vote. In conclusion, Kirby, at town meeting, we have an opportunity to improve the quality and quantity of our water supply. We do this by voting yes on Article 17 and no on Article 18. Article 18 is bad for the ratepayers and it's bad for the environment. We have an opportunity to keep this new facility outside of Zone 1, outside the floodplain, outside wetland protection area, and save an estimated $1 million on an overall project cost.
Very good. Nick, thank you very much. Nick Lawler, General Manager for the Littleton Electric Light and Water Department, has been our guest today describing the Water Department, providing us some important details about the proposed Whitcomb Avenue water treatment plant and upcoming warrant articles in the May 2019 annual town meeting. Hopefully the audience has found the details of today's program informative and helpful in clarifying questions you may have had about the Whitcomb Ave facilities and about Article 17 and 18. You can also go to the town's planning board's website for information on the new Aquifer and Water Resource District, and to the Littleton Water Department website for additional information on the Whitcomb Ave treatment plant. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Nick, for your time and your explanations.
Thanks, Kirby.
Thank you.